Welcome to the Dream Achievers Podcast, where we focus on business owners and purpose-driven leaders in our local communities. We meet people every day where we shop, eat, and do life, and want to bring their stories to you each and every Wednesday. Now, let's get to this week's guest.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Dream Achievers. So glad that you could join us, and I'm joined by Ellie with Shaka Latte. Ellie, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, anytime that I can be joined by people that are super passionate about what they're doing, it makes me excited. And I know obviously you're in a unique situation as far as that you've created this with the food truck, the coffee truck that's out, and has been extremely well received in the community, but it's not your typical business owner story. So I'm excited to be able to share a little bit with everybody with that on the background and kind of what it was that excited you around that. So I guess let's start with the name, you know, the Shaka with Shaka Latte. What was it that was so important about that to you?
I've always just had a love for any type of extreme sport, whether it be surfing, snowboarding, anything like that. And I love just the culture behind the Shaka and what it represents. How it's kind of, I always explain it to people who don't understand it, like it's kind of like how you're driving down the road in Southwest Virginia and people just throw their hand up. It's a lot like that. It's just like a good energy, and that's kind of what we want to deliver with the business, is just good vibes, good energy, just.
Well, you know, I've traveled a lot over time and been to a lot of different coffee shops, right? And you know, talking about the energy that's inside of them, that's different when you're a mobile establishment, right? Like you don't have that energy of just that you're showing up and you get to create that vibe. You're creating it every time that you pull up. So how do you create a vibe for a mobile, a mobile experience?
That's a great question. Just trying to stay upbeat. We like to write nice little notes on some of the cups occasionally, just try to uplift people. Like whenever they come to the trailer, we want it to be like they get to have a upbeat experience whenever maybe they're having a stressful day, and they can just kind of leave that behind, come get their coffee for a minute, and maybe that'll help them have a better day.
Well, when you can look for those people that find the good in everything, right? You know, it's like, it's infectious of somebody when you're around them and that they're upbeat. You can be having a ho-hum day, but you show up and you got a good cup of coffee or tea, or you guys got the Homestead Creamery ice cream. I don't know anybody that's mad that's holding a milkshake.
I know.
So if you can have that and you can bring that energy to it, and you guys are always so sweet. Every time that I come up to the truck, you set up at the Lebanon Farmers Market all season with that, and you're at a lot of the different town events. But with having any type of food business, it's hard. Margins aren't, you know, what people don't realize. You show up and you're like, oh my gosh, that's like $5.50 for that drink. Your margins of what you make on every single item that goes out is slim.
Yeah.
So with the food cost of everything that's going on, if you're not in the restaurant industry or if you've never worked in the restaurant industry, the reason that these things keep getting more expensive isn't because the business owners are trying to get rich, right? I'm sure, Ellie, you wouldn't be upset that you're like, you know what, this investment is paying off. It's great. You know, it's just stacks of money like Scrooge McDuck that's underneath me. But if we look at it and we say, we have to be able to, you know, provide great food, you know, great drinks, great ingredients that are going into everything, because you could buy cheaper stuff, right? You know, there's cheaper stuff that's out there, but it's not going to deliver that same experience for you. So when you're looking at that and you're trying to decide between, hey, I'm trying to make more of a margin here versus the better ingredients, why choose the better ingredients?
I mean, I just think that's what set us apart from even coffee shops, brick and mortars, is we have better quality things, and I think that's something that our area is lacking. Like, I mean, you can go to a lot of coffee shops around here, but very few have high quality, true coffee products, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of places that you can go and, to your point, get a cup of coffee, right? I could remember I used to work in food service in college, that I worked in catering and then graduated and worked for Chili's for 3 years as a restaurant manager, and You know, you would show up and somebody would have like the Dow Egberts at that point in time was big, that it was like a dispenser machine. That it was coffee syrup that you just mixed it with water inside and it came out. The coffee was done. There was no brewing. Everything was done. Super convenient. It tasted like garbage. So when you have that versus somebody that goes through and puts effort into their craft, and even just the espresso machine that's on your truck, it's not easy. You know, it's to be able to have a good cup that's not going to be super bitter or not going to be super bland. How do you go about learning how to run one of those things? I mean, it looks like a spaceship on the truck.
Yeah, it is definitely very complicated. Lots and lots of YouTube videos, lots and lots of trial and error. I had a job at a coffee shop in Abingdon, the Girl and the Raven, and I think they're probably the best coffee shop around as far as knowing how to get the coffee to taste how it should be. So just a lot of experience working there for over a year now.
So, I mean, you go through, you can buy a machine that you can make coffee at home, right? There's a lot of different things. Whether you're the person that just loves a K-cup or an espresso, something easy to drop a pot in, there is something about the art form of coffee with that. And it truly is. You can make a really bad cup very easily with that. But let's rewind. So you were working in the coffee shop, right? What was it that got you to take the leap that you said, you know what, I like working here, but I want to do this on my own?
It was just a why not thing. I was in a weird season where I was trying to figure out, I'm graduating high school soon. What am I going to do? What should I do? I didn't want to work a typical 9 to 5. I already knew that. It just wasn't fulfilling for me. And we had this idea, and everybody I told about it loved the idea, so I was like, why not,
So did you do any type of study with high school? I know that the last year you actually wound up doing homeschool so that you could get the business up and running and get the training with how to do everything. But, I mean, did you do some type of business study, or was it just kind of like bootstraps? Hey, I'm going to hop on YouTube, figure out how to do this. I'll kind of start sketching out my budget and see how this goes?
Yeah, just bootstraps. I mean, just trying to figure it out as we go. That's why we're keeping it small right now, just a few days a week, trying to test the waters, learn how to do that, everything like that. I plan on taking some business classes in the near future just to have a better education on that too.
Now, there's a lot of resources here in our local community to help out small business owners like yourself that are getting started. Have you utilized anything from like the Southwest Virginia Economic Development Authority or anything that's kind of like the business owner incentives that are going on? Have you utilized any of those yet?
We will be applying for a grant this spring, I believe. So we've went to the community college and talked to them there about different things and different doors. So we're definitely looking into that, seeing what we can and cannot.
If you're listening to this right now, we have options to help you out with your own personal financial journey. Everything from 1 month up to 6 months as your own personal financial journey guide. We're going to do things such as help you out with budgeting, creating a cash flow plan, or even just one-on-one consultations to help you become accountable for your financial journey. Now, back to this episode.
If you're out there and you're one of the folks like Ellie that you've got this dream and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, why not me? Why not do this? I'm in a season where if I try this out and it winds up that it's successful, fantastic. If it winds up then it doesn't do everything that I want to make sure that I put everything into it. But if you've got that idea and you're trying to figure out how do I go out and capitalize on it, utilize the resources that are available to you. So if we go out there and we see everything that's out to try to help out, the Economic Development Authority that's here, based for Russell County here in Lebanon, teaches classes. There's grants available. There's lots of things to be able to help business owners out. So it's awesome that you're able to capitalize on some of those things that are there for you. There is also something to be said about learning from the hard knocks of being out and actually doing the business. What's been the biggest learning curve for you so far with having the trailer, whether it be getting licensed, getting inventory, knowing how much to prep so that you show up and you've got everything? What's been the biggest learning curve?
That's a great question too. I'd I'd say just where we are just drinks. Some of the events that other like food trucks and trailers have talked about being super duper good, we've not done so great at, and some of the ones that are like, it's not that great, we've done really well at. So it's just learning that we're offering a different type of product and looking at it differently than some of the other trailers do.
I know my wife sets up at a lot of events with her small business. So she'll go out with JG Blessed and Faith Creations, where she's got her custom designed shirts and headbands and hair bows and earrings. And we always laugh that we go, man, how nice would it be on some of these events if you were one of the vendors that's selling food or drinks? Because you show up and you've got all these vendors, and maybe or maybe not that anybody else shows up. You have a lot of vendors, but all of those vendors wind up hungry or thirsty. So it's nice when you can capitalize on that you can say, okay, well, what am I doing that's unique, that's different to be able to offer, so people will come out, and not only come out, but then come back when we're out and we're doing that. So you've been out now. How long has it been? How many months that you've been up and running at this point?
I don't even know if I know the exact number of months. I know it was this spring.
So we'll be coming up on 1 year in the spring. I think it was the town yard sale was the beginning. So we'll be coming up on a year in the spring. You've had a lot of different experiences in that point of time. What's been your favorite event that you've been at? And I'm not saying that any of the others aren't good. I'm just saying your favorite that you've set up at. That just the energy was cool, or that you had fun.
The Haunted History Walk in Honaker was really, really fun. Everybody, I think especially in Honaker, where they don't get many things that come to them, everybody was just very happy to have us and very inviting, so that was really nice.
Now, one of the things that I enjoy about going out to events like that is when there's not a ton that's going on in the community. And Honaker has done a whole lot more. Like, I grew up, we owned the auto parts store there in Honaker when I was growing up, and so I spent a lot of time over there. My uncle still lives over there, and aunt. But when you have events like that you're coming back, and these communities are coming back to life, it's just so fun with that. And it seems odd to say the community coming back to life when we're talking about a ghost, tour with that of going through. Now, your business, a lot of times as a business owner, that you'll go out and people say, okay, well, you need to have your why. You need to have why you're doing this. You need to have a corporate slogan or a statement. You've got a little bit different take on that. You've got a company Bible verse.
Yes.
So with your company Bible verse, we have Matthew 5 verse 16. Why is that so important to you?
That verse is actually really funny. It's just kind of followed me around my whole life. I have no idea where it came from originally. A few years ago, I started doing some photography, and that verse talks about shining your light into the community, and flash on a camera. So we kind of attached that verse to that. And then in youth group a few years ago, I learned that my name actually means shining light. So it just kind of always connected back, and it's really helped remind me of just shining a light into the community. So
it literally has followed you around. If it's part of your namesake that we're going through with that, and I'll flash that verse up for everybody with that. But it says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." And when you're out in the community and you're at these events, the neat thing is you might be a witness to someone not even knowing it by the fact of the Bible verse being on the cup, being on the sleeve, and it showing to somebody that they go, oh, what's that? Wonder what it is. And you look it up and you see what's going on. So that's amazing that you can have that. Not just that it's a corporate slogan or a corporate statement, but it's a company Bible verse that follows through. So if we look at where you've been so far, not even a year into business, where is it that you're hoping that 2024 takes Shaka Latte?
Hey, sorry for the interruption, but when I'm not doing amazing interviews like what you're listening to or watching right now on YouTube, I'm working with people every single day to help improve their financial lives. A lot of people come to me with questions about how can they retire on time, when should they take Social Security, or just are they on track in general with their finances. Down below in the show notes, you'll find information to be able to help see how you're tracking towards retirement with our 90-second retirement readiness quiz, or maybe you're just wanting to see what can you do to get on track, whether that's paying down debt, student loans, or just trying to figure out, am I making the right decisions every single day? Well, if that's you, click down below so that you can utilize those resources and improve your own financial journey. Now, back to the show.
Definitely are looking to open more, hopefully a brick and mortar within the next few years. We're really debating now, like, should we do a brick and mortar and keep the trailer for events, or should we do multiple trailers and go to multiple events at different times? We're really just trying to figure that out right now, actually. So I'm not sure. I guess we'll just see what the future holds. Doors have opened a lot with this, so we'll just keep seeing what doors open.
Well, if you're a business owner and you're sitting there, a lot of times your sphere of people that are around you, that you're just trying to ask questions, that you're trying to feel out, okay, would people show up to X? I always think of it kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. So you have to have that mentality that it's just, you're overly positive. Most entrepreneurs, at the end of the day, are going to be overly optimistic with everything. You have to be. You're jumping off the building and building your parachute on the way down. That's what it's always been explained to me. So, but if you're looking at that and you say, okay, is it multiple trailers so that we can be set up at 2-3 events on the same weekend or the same week, and we're spread out? There was a business owner that I knew that was in Lynchburg, Virginia, that had a cider donut business. It was called Mama Crockett's. Now, Mama Crockett's doesn't exist anymore, but it did, and they had trailers, and it was all these old vintage trailers that they had stripped, and basically threw a counter in there and a prep sink, and that way you could go out and you could serve. And it was just, they showed up everywhere. And then they started going down into North Carolina, and then they started, and then they opened a brick and mortar. And it grew so big so fast that it just got overwhelming. And luckily for the business owner, the pandemic, they shut everything down, and he just kept one trailer, sold everything off, closed the business, everything, and went down to just one trailer that'll set up, and it's kind of like pop-up, just random occurrence events. But it's neat to see that excitement as far as on the way up of trying to decide, what do we do? Which way do we go with this so that we can be able to get the most out of it, but also be able to enjoy ourselves? Because it's really easy as a business owner to create a job. So you can, you could go work and just be a girl on the Raven and show up, and then when your shift's over, you're done. All right, cool. That was good. That was a good day. See y'all tomorrow. But when it's you, and it follows you home, and you're constantly thinking about it, and you're like, okay, what could I do special for, we have the fall menu out right now. What's going to be the winter menu? What can we do? Let's try some different things out. Okay, well, what stuff do I have to order that I don't already have? How do I go and create this to be that experience that you talked about at the beginning? That you said, how do I bring people in to where we can have fun with this? Is it that I bring a little portable music with me to have with this? Is it that I put a little pop-up bistro table with a couple chairs so that people are always there? Whatever it is, it's your mind's constantly circling, and you're trying to land the plane so that you're like, okay, it's now 2 a.m. How do I go to sleep? But if you're looking at that now and you're trying to figure out that next step, who are some of the relationships that have helped you out to this point to make some of those decisions?
My family has been incredibly helpful, especially my parents and my sister. They've just, sometimes my ideas get a little carried away, I'll be honest, and they'll help bring me back down to earth. And then other times, maybe I'll start to get a little burnt out because, like you said, it does follow you home constantly, and they can help pick me back up, and they've just been extremely helpful in that area.
That's awesome. So do they have experience as far as on the business owner's standpoint as well, or is this kind of their first foray into the front lines of seeing it?
Very minimum. My dad at one time did his own side hustle type deal where he would install hitches and things into trucks. So there's a little bit from that, but mostly just figuring it out.
That's awesome that you guys get to do that as a family and kind of go out and learn. And they're the ones pulling the trailer, right, to be able to get you to and from where you're going. Because if I remember correctly, as far as from talking to your mom earlier in the year, she said, listen, you'd saved up some money to be able to get your first car. And I can remember when I was going to get my first car, and I had X amount of dollars ready. And then you deciding that the dollars are gone, like you've got this thing, but you had the choice that you said, I can either do that or I can invest in this business, and I can buy the car again down the road. But tell me about that. I mean, if at that point in time, 16, 17?
17, yeah.
And making a decision of, you know what, the car can wait. Let me go buy a business.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. That's so unique.
Yeah, like you said, I knew that the car would come. The car can come. I don't really know what to say. I think it's just my mindset's always been a lot different than other people's. I remember when I was a little kid, everybody else was playing, and I wanted to sit and listen to the parents talk about whatever they were talking about, what would normally be boring to other kids. But I think it's just a different mindset of I can sacrifice now and probably have a not so nice car in a few years or a few months, and then it'll grow, and then I can have the really nice car. But at the end of the day, hopefully I'll be more happy with my own business rather than just working for someone else.
Well, every single person can learn a lesson from that. That if you've delayed gratification, that you said, you know what, I know that that's something I want, but if I do these steps and I delay that gratification, I can come out better in the long run. You talked about youth group before. I can remember going to Boy Scout camp. And if you've been to Boy Scout camp or youth group or any of these things, at some point in time, everybody's done chubby bunnies. Right? Have you done chubby bunny? Where somebody's trying to stuff all the marshmallows into their mouth and they're trying to see how many, and you still have to say chubby bunnies? Well, I can remember, I think that the record at Camp Davy Crockett, I think one guy got like 40 marshmallows in his mouth before it just like exploded. But they've also done studies where it's kids that they put a marshmallow in front of them and they say, would you like to eat this, or if you wait X amount of time, I'll give you 2 or 5 or whatever it is. So they're testing the delayed gratification to see how that works. There's so many people that just grab the first one that they're like, you know what, it's in front of me, it's fine. And it's just good enough. But the people that wait and delay that gratification, it's just amazing to see the difference of if you just wait and that you can go through, here's the extra reward that you're going to get. So the fact that you as a young person, as a business owner, realize that, you know what, I'd like to have these things. I'm sure that there's equipment that you would like to have in your truck right now to have in the trailer that you go, you know what, if I could have that, that'd be awesome. But it's $8,000.
Yeah.
Or, I'd like to have these things on the menu, but that's going to require that I have to bring all this extra stuff with me. Maybe I save that for one day down the road when we've got the brick and mortar.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if you look at that, why was it somebody or some experience along the way that kind of trained you to say, you know what, it's okay to wait. I don't have to be instantly gratified.
Well, both of my grandfathers have big gardens. We grew up on a farm, have horses and things like that. And I think just that type of culture, you plant seeds if it's like you're growing crops and you watch that slowly grow, and then I think it just teaches you patience and to wait for the good to come.
But I know when I'm working with people financially, I always tell them, listen, it took you years to get to this point, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? So just know that every decision that you make, it compounds. It can compound to the good or it can compound to the bad. But if somebody shows up and you've got $40,000 in debt, you've got a car payment that I think the average car payment now is like $725 a month is the average car payment, which is just disgusting. But you have people that they can't delay that gratification. They want the things now, and because of that, they wind up in this situation that they go, there's no hope. I can't dig out of this. It's just too bad. You know what? Everybody else is like this too. It's just normal. So you start to self-talk yourself to just say, you know what? It's normal. It's all right. Well, so many people, I tell them, listen, it took you years to get to this point. It's going to take us some time to unravel it too. So give yourself grace, give yourself patience to know that it's going to take some time to improve where you're at. But you're going to start to see that improve. That's why you have so many people that love the Dave Ramsey stuff with the baby steps, because if you go from having 5 credit cards to 4, even if your balance didn't change all that much, because it's like you paid off a $500 credit card, people are excited because they went from 5 to 4.
Yeah.
So if you can have those experiences, that's just such a cool thing for you to be able to enjoy and get the most out of with that. So you talked about trying to decide, hey, do I do multiple trailers? Do I do the brick and mortar? I've got all these ideas and things that I want to do. If somebody's wanting to follow along with your journey, where can they find Shaka Latte? On Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram are where we're active the most. So I believe it's just Shaka_Latte, and you can find us.
Yeah, I have it down below in the show notes with that for anybody that's interested in following along with Ellie with that. As she goes through this journey of starting a business, coming up on the year anniversary, trying to decide what to do, as you're looking at some of those things of what's next, so have graduated now, right? Are you going to, is your mindset that, hey, I'm going to go out and learn this craft out in the communities and build this business? Or are you planning on going off to college and doing this while you're doing college?
If I do go to college, which I probably will, it'll mostly be online courses so that I will be able to continue doing this.
There's so many people that I've told if you're trying to grow a business and that you are a young person with that, that's awesome that you want to do some college courses. Know that what you're learning right now by being out in the business and doing this, you're coming out even further ahead than a lot of people's education of spending tens of thousands of dollars to go into debt to come out and still not know what you want to do with life. So what you're learning is going to impact you for years to come when it comes to that. So if we all want to have a holiday beverage, as this comes out, we're getting moving. It's started to get a little bit crisp in the air. What's your favorite fall beverage?
Fall beverage? I love just like a good maple cinnamon latte. It's just very cozy. It's not too sweet, but it's very comforting and warm. I like that a lot.
All right. Well, comforting and warm. So from us here at Dream Achievers, we want to hope that you're comforting and warm right now as well while you watch this or listen on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode as we release new every single Wednesday for you to be able to enjoy. Until next time, this is Andy Young, the Mountain Money Man, telling you I'll catch you down the road.
This has been an M3 Marketing and Media production.